So it is now some time ago that we first released this tutorial on reactive synthesis with Spectra on YouTube. And there have been some changes. Spectra has evolved a bit, and we have added some new parts to the tutorial. So I'm just going to go very briefly over some of the changes that we have done recently. So one thing is, of course, that every time something changes in infrastructure, we're also going to update the Spectra plugins. So here you can just see that Spectra now runs on the latest version of Eclipse. So right now that's 2025.03. And it also somewhat works with the dark theme. There might be some glitches in the dark theme, but it should all work. The integration remained the same as you see in the tutorial, so we can still do things like check realizability. There have been some new additions to the tutorial. So down here, you will see that we have added, for example, some more advanced analysis, or also these automatically or programmatically working with some of the aspects. So how do you work with counter strategies? How do you actually execute the APIs of Spectra? So there have been some additions like that. And the code is always available on GitHub. Then some language extensions, triggers have been added some time ago. So now there's an extended tutorial on how to use these kind of triggers. And then one thing that's also new now, if we look at the videos, we have added some details here in the comments. So I'm just going to pause this so that we don't have me talking twice. So we have now added links to the GitHub repositories where the code for this tutorial is located. So on GitHub, you will also find the code of all of Spectra, the IDE and everything. But here, this is basically the part where the code is located that we used just specifically for this project. So that's the ones that you would import in one of the earlier videos, and you can browse the specifications here. It also links the videos in the READMEs and explains a bit the content in the README files. And in addition, here during the videos, we are showing some of the specifications in the Eclipse clients. And then now we have linked the formal methods playground with the specifications as they appear in the GitHub repository. So what you could do now is you can follow the tutorial and directly open the specifications in your browser. There's some basic syntax highlighting. You can do the checking of realizability, so you can change specifications as you wish, check whether they are still realizable, and you can also synthesize controllers. So there are some different analysis. The specifications, they always open with the permalinks. The permalinks, they are linked in the description of the video. So here we have the grid world one, and then of course this has a different controller. Here, yeah, not really very interesting. You also have the unrealizable core counter strategy. So most of the analysis that we go through in the playlist, they are now supported also online, so that you can easily follow the tutorial either in your Eclipse, which has some more advanced analysis. So for example, the step-by-step simulation, that doesn't work online, but most of the basic analysis and all of the supported language features, they will also work in these online editors. Yeah, so for example, the patterns, the unrealizability, let's have a look at that. If you want to calculate the unrealizable cores for some of the specifications that we used here.
So now we're going to have a look at unrealizability of specifications.
Good. So I think this was the one. Let's just make sure that we really opened an unrealizable one. Yeah. If we say check realizability, that's always the default. So the permalink doesn't encode which analysis you want to run. It tells us it's unrealizable. And then we can, for example, say we would like to see an unrealizable core, and then it highlights it. So the UI is slightly different from the Eclipse variant, but yeah, you can now experiment with most of the Spectra tutorial video specifications also in the browser.